No, they don't do that. My cat does not sit there and worry about its behaviour. I have looked at them, the two of them, and I said, look what you did. They just look at you. So what? I'm not going to be thinking and analysing about the poor rabbit that's dead in front of my feet. It's like, brought you a rabbit, what's the other, So they don't do that. They don't do that in the way that we do, think about it. Like Joy is in my cat. I don't think he thinks about the poor rabbit he's killed. But we do. We think about cleaning it up. We think about killing him. And then, you say to him, you're a killing machine, and he just meows at you. Do you know? They're not there. But we do. We think all the time. We modify our behaviour in relationship to other people. We go in, we go out, we do all sorts of things. So we're doing that. So the brain never stops growing in response to experience. And that's where the big stuff nowadays is neuroplasticity, and the big kind of learning now is we're not stuck. So for any of you that feel stuck is a time you'll be in, and it's like getting to know what the stuckness is. But we're not kind of stuck being stuck, if you know what I mean. They used to think for a long time that by the time you were 7, that was it. That was it. You might tweak a little, or you might, think. But now they realise the day you die, you have the capacity to change and shift. So for all of us that have very tight habits, and that's what we'll be working with a lot tomorrow, really tight habits, they can change. We can actually change them. I'm not saying it's easy, because a lot of our habits we get when we're very young, so they come when we're not thinking about them. But then as we get older, it is hard. It can be hard, but it's not impossible. And that's where they've discovered that the brain is actually plastic, and it responds to experience. So even if you decided that tomorrow evening I'll never really want to do the 5 rhythms again, that's your brain being changed because you had the experience of the 5 rhythms. So it's always changing. Somebody passes you in the street and smiles at you, your brain changes. Something happens. So it's always changing in response to experience. It's not static. We may feel stuck and kind of static, and God, I've been like this for 20 years, or 30 years, or 40, maybe 50, 60. It's like forever. That's actually not true. We just tell ourselves those kind of things. So how we focus our attention shapes the structure of the brain. And there's another man called Rick Hansen. He's very interesting in that he talks that nowadays we're very conscious of the food we eat. He says we should be very conscious of the thoughts we have, because what you think shapes your brain. So if you continually think I'm not good enough, you actually have a very deep one of these grooves in your brain that you go there automatically. So you have to actually change the direction to make it different and create a new route. But it becomes very, very ingrained. That word ingrained, it's like a big groove. It's like Grand Canyon in your brain. It's like one of these tracks. It's like really, it gets very dense. And they can see it now. That's how they've come up with the thing. They can actually see it on, MRI scans and fMRI scans. They can see where things are thick and dense. Now, thick is good if when you want to develop something new. Get a thick part. But it also is thick if you have a habit that is ingrained in you. So,
Sarah, you have to say that Irish saying, you're so thick.
Yeah.
This comes from
now on, you say, I am.
Interesting.
And I'm getting thicker.
It's like law of attraction, really, isn't it? It's a law of attraction.
It is, yeah. Because also there is a thing, we only hear what we expect to hear. We only see what we expect to see. So if any of you question that, go on YouTube and look at the gorilla video, and you'll see how we expect. So you walk in, you kind of expect to see something somewhere. You just expect it. So in actual fact, we don't usually see something shifted or changed or different until sometimes it's pointed out to us and go, oh my goodness, I thought, are you sure that wasn't there a minute ago? You're going, no, it's never there. Oh. So are we here? Somebody says, it's a really lovely top, and you're used to people who feel like that kind of sense of, always kind of feel criticised or whatever. It doesn't matter how many times they say it's a lovely top. Somebody comes up and says, oh, geez, is there a stain on that? That's what you hear. Oh, there's a stain. Oh, God, it's not right. I won't hear 20 other people saying, that's a really lovely top. Because we program ourselves. Our antenna go out for that. So that's where the law of attraction will come in. We expect it. And then we have expectations. Oh, people, I expect that. And therefore, sometimes when we wonder, why does that always happen to me? When you get to know the habit, you realise it couldn't be otherwise, because I'm always going towards it. I expect it. It's like a magnet. I'm attracted to it. I'm not attracted to somebody saying, oh, that was really interesting and really good. It's like, it was awful, was it? Was that awful? Really? Was that really awful? Now somebody's up there screaming, no, it was great. Was that awful? It's like, there's no magnet built. You have to build the magnet to the other side. And that means build a groove in your brain for that. So how we focus our attention, it literally shapes the structure of your brain. So any of you that have children or are working with children or with young people like that, their brains are being shaped by the way they're being met. And that's, I suppose, the big thing that's interesting about, for parents to know a lot of this kind of stuff. That the way you treat your kids, you are actually, structuring the brain. Grandparents, you're structuring the brain. In the way, and that's why we all grow then to expect what we expect. So, in this work, the two parts of the brain that I'm going to introduce, the name here for us that we'll be working with now from when we start moving is. I'll pull this apart. It's a great thing because it just takes so long to pull apart. Okay, there's three normally there's called, the brain is usually kind of divided into three pieces. Your brain stem, the piece that goes to, links in with your spinal cord there, that's that piece here. That's the part at the moment that's keeping your breathing, keeping your heartbeat, keeping your heat. And if that gets damaged, you're dead. It's not brain damage we're talking about usually. God, dead. You're not going to breathe anymore, your heart's not going to beat. Gone, dead. The rest of the brain can be brain damaged and you can still survive. We know people who've got brain damage and that sort of thing, and they can still function. Their heart rate still goes. And that's why sometimes when people are on, life support machines, it's their heart's still beating, they're still breathing, and all that kind of stuff. This part is still functioning. That we have in common with every single animal on the planet. Reptile. So that's where our cousins, the crocodiles and the snakes and all of those have them as well. That's the reptilian. They often call it the reptilian brain. The one that kind of just, is very much keeps us unconsciously, all the things we don't think about. You don't think about breathing, and you don't think about your heartbeat. If we did, imagine trying to get up in the morning saying, God, I must breathe, get my heartbeat. Before you even get up and dress yourself, to check now that my temperature is in the right temperature, I must make sure I'm homeostatic, what did my digestion happen last night. We would never get out of bed, we just couldn't move. So that's that, and then on top of that then is what they call the mammalian brain, the second kind of brain, and that came when we began to orientate towards caring for one another. You cannot take a crocodile to therapy and say, you should love your little people. You shouldn't be kind of just having them and then abandoning them. You can't. They don't have that brain. They have the reptilian brain, but they don't have the one that particularly cares much about their young. Most other animals do. It's the mammalian brain, like cats do, dogs do, cows do. If you watch the moment, like I live in a area where there's like loads of calves and loads of lambs, and you can see the care, even with the lamb. I mean, lambs or sheep are usually scared of you, but by God, when they've got their little lambs, they'll kind of try to headbutt you. Even if they're afraid, they'll defend their little lamb. And you certainly don't when you're a cow and it's got a calf, it'll kill you. So there is that. And any of you that have had children know that. You kill for them. It's that very grip, and that came about through the mammalian brain when we began to turn towards caring for one another. And then we have this piece, the part on top, which is the part sometimes we think of only as our brain. It's the piece that's the neocortex, and that's in us. It's the biggest. We are the most developed so far, and it's evolutionary. It's in response to we develop in response to situations. So I reckon when our descendants are sitting here in a million years' time, they'll be saying, oh, God help them. They only have 3 brains. Oh, no wonder they were like that. See the way, like I say, we won't bring a crocodile to therapy, they would say, oh, God help them. They didn't really understand. They'd have another brain. There would be another. But it depends on what we're going to develop. And I think that's what's interesting nowadays, the fact that we do have knowledge about how it works. Are we going to develop, continually one that is open to war all the time and to fight and to defend, or are we going to put the effort into one that kind of has more kind of curiosity and more openness towards people. And that depends on us an awful lot now, where we put our attention. So that's the part, and that's the part that, this part here in the beginning, at the moment as you pay attention, that part of your brain is like on fire. It is, we had little map things on you, it's just flickering, because that's where we pay attention, in the front part of our brain, just here, just right there, you pay attention there. So, the piece that I want to introduce you to is in here, just between this, and it's inside of your brain, so I have to take it apart in here. It's called the insula. And that is the part that I fully believe. Now, I fully believe it, even though I have no evidence to show it, but I do believe it, in that those of us who practice movement and dance have thicker insulas than anybody who doesn't. Because that is the part of our brain that is continually scanning and sensing what's happening in our body. It is, if you tune in to your body, that's your tuning, the insula, that piece of your brain, which is located here, it's literally, it's like that's the station. The information is coming up from your body, up through your brainstem, through your spine, up into the insula, and the insula then sends it up into the top part of your, to put a name on it. Because you ever find yourself saying, I kind of have, a feeling kind of, that's your body sending you a message, but you can't articulate it. You haven't got the words. So it hasn't moved up. It's coming up, but it hasn't got to the part of the body that can name it. Oh yeah, God, that feeling in my stomach was nervous. So we name it with the top part of our brain, the neocortex, but we feel it coming up through our body. And the insula is the piece that does that. So I'm convinced that all of you in the room here who've been doing 5 rhythms with me for a long time have thicker insulas than we say if you're coming for the very first time. But if you're coming, you practice any kind of body work, that, or meditation as well, when you're doing meditation in the body, that's what we say is the insula. It lights up and it becomes really thick. So the greater practice you have of embodiment and listening to your body, listening, like, do you ever have a gut feeling? That comes up to your, and it comes from your gut. Now it's not fancy. There are tons and tons of what they call neurons all around your gut and all around your heart that are sending messages to your brain all the time. So, I mean, if you're anything like me, you get a gut feeling, you don't go with it, and you regret. Oh, God, again,
It's actually called the small brain.
It is.
Everything's going to do there.
Yeah. And it's like great because it's like, they don't say any more than that's all in your head. It's all literally, it is in your head, like, but it's like they don't kind of dismiss it anymore. They're willing to say yes, and that comes from all of that information in your gut, and all around your heart. When we get to kind of care about people, there's tons and tons. Do you ever kind of get a feeling you just know in your body that you can't move towards that person? You just can't. No matter how hard you try, everything you kind of, if you let your body do it, will just keep moving away. Now you might be, because we're old enough, polite. Hello. It's like, there isn't even a bend in your elbow, it's like, keep you that distance. And then other people, for no reason, maybe it's your first time ever meeting them, and you go straight. That's your body knows why. Even if your mind and your brain hasn't caught up with it. And the body works faster than your neocortex and your mind part, the thinking part. It works much faster. Kev, will you tell your story you said yesterday about the trucks for a minute, just to give an example of that?
Yeah, I was driving on a very familiar road early in the morning, rush hour traffic, and I suddenly got this feeling of a really anxious tummy. And I was going like, what's the problem? I'm used to driving this road and everything like that. And suddenly it came into my mind, this might be the reptilian brain that Caitríona talks about. And I looked around and thought, what are you nervous about? And I was in between these huge big trucks. And I hate driving like that, and I went, oh yeah, you think these trucks are going to eat you? And I thought, yeah, it's okay, I'm in the car, I'm safe, I'm capable of doing this, you can calm down. And I did. I felt my tummy really calm down and just took control. But it was lovely to actually feel it and to recognise what it was and see these monsters and realise, yeah, I'm safe, I can do it.
Yeah. And that, I thought that was great when we were talking about that yesterday, because it is a real example of the body is saying something happening, something's going on. And then if you tune into it, and if you can tune into it steadily